What's up, rockers? About 9 months ago, I had the opportunity to take a look and review the Brook Power Bay with Bluetooth. If you missed that one, I'll leave a card in the upper right hand corner for you to check it out. Anyway, this is an awesome mini dock that has Gamecube controller ports on the front, and it works great. One comment that came up was people wished that Brook had integrated an Ethernet port into the back of the dock. And well, it looks like Brook listened. So in this video, let's take a look at the new Brook Power Bay with Ethernet, which is dropping in the next couple of months. So before we get too deep into this review, I'm looking at a pre-production version of this dock as there is no packaging included with it. However, my guess is the packaging will be very similar to the prior model. As far as how this dock feels, it feels extremely similar to the prior version in terms of both footprint and quality. And to be very clear, that's a good thing, as the prior version of this dock felt sturdy and very well built. One thing that made travel very difficult with the Switch is the lack of portability of the OEM dock. In the pre-COVID days, I was always traveling for work and going on trips with the family. Taking the OEM dock really wasn't an option. However, with this dock, travel will be easy as it fits where the OEM Gamecube adapter and dock couldn't. And yes, that crazy looking green Gamecube adapter is the OEM adapter. It just has a custom glow-in-the-dark shell casted by my buddy North GCC. Anyway, as you can see here, the Brook and OEM power supply easily fit into my existing carry case. As for the OEM dock and OEM Gamecube controller adapter, well, not a chance. So at this point, I haven't even tested the dock yet to see if it works, but I figured it's as good a time as ever to crack the unit open and check out the board layout and figure out what makes this thing tick. Getting into the unit is very easy with only a few Phillips head screws holding it together and a bit of double-sided foam connecting the two halves together. Looking at the PCB, it looks well made and designed. I'm happy to see that the board is finished with a nickel immersion gold finish. The 2 points of feedback that I'd have, which I'd like to see in the final production version of the boards, is better anchoring on all the ports. These are the highest stress parts of the entire PCB, and I like to see plenty of solder on those to allow those high use components stay anchored to the PCB as well as they possibly can be. The second point is I'd like to see some higher quality electrolytic capacitors being used. Stone is fine for beta testing, but in the final production run, I would much prefer either Rubicon or Nishikon electrolytic capacitors. Anyway, as long as I have this unit open, I figured I might as well add a bit of solder to the anchoring points on the HDMI, USB-C, and Ethernet. I'm just going to add a bit of flux to the points here and then go ahead and add some solder. Okay, I got the device back together and I just want to start by running some tests and see how the Ethernet works when compared to my wireless. So I ran a very basic speed test and I'm about 30 feet away from my 5 GHz router. And here's what the results look like in terms of upload and download speed over my Wi-Fi. Now, I'm going to do the same test but hardwired via the Ethernet port, and here's my results in terms of upload and download speed. Basically no change on the upload speed, but the download speed is pretty much doubled, which is pretty fantastic. Generally speaking, I have excellent Wi-Fi coverage in my house, but I can imagine the results potentially being even more dramatic in a less controlled environment such as a dorm room, hotel, or heck, even a Smash event. So as far as how the device actually works, there's two basic ways to use the device. One is a fully docked manner to hook it up to the TV, and the other is in a tabletop mode. Let's start with it hooked up to the TV. Hooking it up to the TV is very simple, just plug in the HDMI and your OEM power brick and drop in your switch and you're pretty much all set. Plugging in the Gamecube controller, you'll find that it functions as a Gamecube controller. Now, it might seem odd that I just said that, but let me explain. You see, there's a function button on the top of the dock, which if you hold it down for 5 seconds, your Gamecube controller will turn into a Pro controller. Further, this diverges from the previous version of the dock, which defaults into Pro controller when you plugged in your Gamecube controller. Either way, I like this update much better. When I play with a Gamecube controller, that's pretty much what I want it to be. For whatever it's worth, if you happen to have a previous version of the Brook Power Bay dock, you can do a firmware update and this will become the new default setting. Next, let's turn to tabletop mode. This is by far my favorite way to play as of late. And I've been spending a ton of time playing in it because, I'm developing this reactive LED mod, the Shine Wave, and, this is my primary way of testing. And the controller you're seeing on the screen has been modified with the Shine Wave. Nonetheless, turning back to the dock, it actually uses the Switch's power to power up the Gamecube controller ports that are on the dock. What is really cool is you can take the handle off the back of the dock and you can use it to adjust the viewing angle of the Switch while in portable mode. You could also take advantage of the Switch Lite and use it in this mode as well. Now, just to be clear, it won't output to the TV, but hey, if you want to use it docked with your Gamecube controller, this is one way to do it. The last thing I wanted to report back on is you can actually still use the OEM Gamecube controller adapter while in this tabletop mode, and you could just simply plug those USB ports into the front of the dock. The only thing you need to keep in mind is you're going to need the power plugged in via the power brick. Otherwise, the OEM Gamecube controller adapter unfortunately doesn't work. So I guess now is a good time to mention that the dock requires you to use the OEM power adapter with it. Brook spent a lot of time measuring the OEM switch dock and specifically the power curve that's coming off it to make sure that the power bay matched it exactly. The end result is, as long as you're using the OEM power cable, you shouldn't have to worry about bricking your console at all. And if you do brick your console, Brook has your back, as they took out a purpose-specific policy with their insurer to cover any console should their product brick it. While that sounds well and good, I have been using the Brook Power Bay with Bluetooth personally for over 9 months, and I've literally had 0 issues. This includes using it almost daily, as it's been my primary dock while working on development of the Shine Wave mod. As I mentioned, there's been 0 issues, so I feel very comfortably being able to say this is unlikely to brick your console. So finally, the last matter I want to mention is the price. The cost of the dock is $80, and I'll leave a link to the pre-order page in the description below. The price of the dock is up from what it was about 9 months ago. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, it's caused a severe supply chain shortage for much of the semiconductor space. As a result, the cost of electronic components has risen pretty dramatically. The cost of this dock reflects the price increase in those components. While the power bay still costs less than the combination of the OEM dock and the OEM Gamecube controller adapter, the gap is a little bit closer than what it was before. Having said that, if you did go the OEM route, you would still be missing out on the Ethernet option, and you'd be completely missing the portability, which is really what this dock is geared towards. Anyway, I still believe that at this price point, it's pretty reasonable for all the features you get. But anyway guys, let me know what you think of the dock in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, please give me a comment, like, and subscribe. And if you made it this far in this video, make sure you check out this one here at the end, as I'm sure you're going to enjoy that one too.